nowadays I try to do ASMR videos, but more in a kind of unserious manner, which doesn't mean, I try to just not take it as serious. I just try to do something that I dearly enjoy without giving it too much of a thought and too much of a brainer, like, oh, is the setup perfect? Oh, is the sound perfect? I do what I can do without, pressuring myself, but going with the flow, because in my experience, that's exactly what brings us further in life. And I am talking in my personal point of view from experience that if you pressure yourself so much, if you take on so much responsibility, you end up burning yourself out. And I'm very excited about what this channel will bring and what it will bring to you, especially because that's what I, want to achieve at the end of the day, to contribute something. And excuse me in advance, I'm not a native English speaker, so if I'm doing some mistakes or take longer to find certain words, you know why. Um, Firstly, how are you doing? How is your heart? How is your heart? How has your week been and your mind? Could you find some moments of relaxation? Or have you felt anxious? So maybe you can let this video play while you're, I don't know, while you're cleaning your kitchen or your car, or just laying in bed, calming down from an exhausting day, calming down from self-doubts and being self-conscious, whatever it is for you right now. And honestly, it took me a while to understand that a bad day doesn't need to be a bad life. Sometimes my brain really functions in this black and white manner, which I personally don't really like. You just learn to grow into it and to also understand that the emotions you experience today are just weather passing by through your system. And sometimes, I don't know, especially if you're dealing with anxiety or trauma or complex trauma, depression, or maybe you're hypersensitive, maybe you're on the spectrum, it becomes even more tricky, and that's what I want to use this channel for. I will talk a lot about these things, about my own experience, about what I've learned, what I've researched, and I'm not in a position to, I don't know, say that I can help you, but maybe you can relate to me, and maybe I can relate to you, and maybe we can learn from each other and exchange wisdom, exchange experience, um, and just exchange the time we have together in this thing called life. Um, and I think this video is especially about self-doubts and comparison and taking on a life that isn't yours. And what do I mean with that? I think it's very easy, and I understood it the last couple of years. Firstly, we need to come to the awareness that we actually realize that we are not, if we are unhappy with our life and how things are going, if we are playing against our nature, maybe against our hypersensitivity, maybe against our dreams, maybe against our capacities, because let's be real, my capacity might look totally different from yours. And some people are high functioning, and you don't really can tell that they are struggling a lot. I tend to have difficulties taking rest because I were pushing myself the last 3 years over and over and over and over again to my limits. I knew why I had my goals, and I know I'm not the only one. so sad. It makes me so sad because I'm looking around and I see so many beautiful people within, without, who are slowly burying their own dreams because they say, oh, it's not realistic. Because, and yeah, I don't want to blame everything on society, but because you're so in this hamster wheel that you don't even have time to dream anymore. But I want to tell you, it doesn't need to be like that. And now you're thinking like, oh, what do you know from life in your age? Don't be fooled. I have a couple of stories to tell. I have a couple of chapters to write. And I've had already quite some life experiences. I moved out from home very, very early. I failed a lot. I've done many mistakes. Um, I had a rather untypical upbringing, but I won't overshare now or in general, but I also had a lot of learning. I learned a lot. And I also learned that my way doesn't need to be the way your way works. And I think if we start to I think if we start to be brave enough to focus on our own path with all honesty, and with that I mean like being brave enough to go into action and to go into a direction you choose for yourself, there's a lot of strength. It's not for the faint of heart, honestly. And we say that so easily, like, live your dreams, go your way. But truth is, oftentimes we're totally alone on our way, especially as an adult. There won't be a lot of people cheering you up, standing by your side, especially if you're going a more untypical way. And that can lead us to doubt ourselves because we think, oh, are we doing something wrong? Because for a long time we are operating in the underground, and maybe we don't see results very fast, or maybe even years long. And because, excuse me, and because we don't have a proper guideline, like, okay, you're going to the college from 8 to, I don't know, 4 in the afternoon. But because we need to find ways to structure our day, to structure our jobs, our hustles, our uh, that's I believe for artists, they need to be not only creative in their work, they need to be creative in their self management, and you need to also learn to have boundaries with yourself, to motivate yourself. And that is a very brave place to be, and you will fail oftentimes, especially if your nature is more chaotic, let's say, or just sporadic or emotional for whatever reasons. And the most important tip, if I could give for that, to go through that, is to just be consistent, to just show up. And that was a very hard pill for me to swallow, to just show up, not in perfection, not entirely fit, not entirely clever, not accomplished. Just show up the way you are in this minute. And maybe the way you are in this minute is not the way you want to be tomorrow or next week or next month or next year, and that is good. It means that there is an ambition inside of you, but this ambition oftentimes can drive us nuts, and that ambition can lead to toxic perfectionism, that you're never satisfied with the way you appear, with the way you work, with the way you speak, and with the way you act. And we don't need to argue now why you, in the first place, became a perfectionist. Probably it's related to a surviving mechanism, to protect yourself. And maybe I can invite you to question that and to ask and listen inside of you and ask, why do I believe it? What's underneath it? Is there shame? The shame that the way I am right now is not good enough? Or the belief that I need to earn love? The belief that I need to earn my place to be? The belief that I'm only worthy if I'm productive? If I'm accomplished, if I'm looking good, if I'm acting good, if I'm being good. Maybe you're a people pleaser as well. And that's for another video. But showing up is the most just consistency. You can be very, very talented, but if you're suck at consistency, and I've done it so much in my life, I'm not sitting here and you know, and say that I figured everything out. I'm still, in the progress. I'm still growing. I still will fuck up. And I still have many, 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 many questions. But I believe, I think Jordan Peterson said that once, which actually really, really helped me. I remember many years ago, I was very broke. I used to live not alone like I'm doing now, but I lived with a couple of roommates. And I would work back then in, how you say it in English, in a pharmacy store, like where you're selling antibiotics and stuff like that. And I didn't have any experiences in there, so I kind of was very new to this business, and I've learned a lot about medicine. And in the place where I was living, we actually also learned about plants and stuff like that, so that was pretty cool, honestly. You also had a lot of whatever, was kind of cool. But I, due to personal reasons, had a really, really hard and dark time. I mean, really, for many, many years. It took me a very long time to get to the place I am now. And the place I am now is a place I'm so grateful for. I'm living, I achieved things I thought I never would be able to achieve. Personal goals that were important to me. Because I was so depressed that I thought I didn't saw a future for me. So what, I don't say that to get sympathy. I say that to maybe give the people hope who are really feeling hopeless, who are really feeling hopeless over years and years and years and years. Not only, having a shitty day, because it's a very, very, very complex place to fight through, especially if you're struggling with complex trauma, maybe. I'm usually not a juice drinker. I stick to my water and my veggies and my proteins. But I really like pineapple juice, especially with these unholy temperatures. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I misused the Lord's name if you're a believer. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I don't believe Jesus cares if you use his name. I mean, if you use it disrespectfully, you know what I mean. He don't care. It's very new to me too. Look, I'm self-conscious as well. I think maybe it's not good enough what I'm doing right now, but what I'm doing right now is what I can give to you. What I can give to you. I want to contribute something to your health, mental health. I want you to be happy. population. You don't need to have graduated in order to feel worthy in society. Your financial status or your education status shouldn't be what you are defining yourself about. It's good if you have ambitions, it's good if you have dreams, but there's so much more to you. And maybe you're stuck right now. And maybe you feel hopeless right now. And maybe you feel so horrible. Maybe you don't feel anything at all. I think that's the worst place to be. I think that's the worst place to be if we don't feel anything anymore. Just surrender for today. Don't think about a whole study. Maybe read a book or half a book or a page or half a page. Don't start this business. Do a little video or notes in your notebook. Don't try to clear up your entire life now. Maybe just do your bed and clean your room. Like Jordan Peterson would say, clean your room. Clean your fucking room. What I'm trying to tell, what I'm trying to say, don't overwhelm yourself, especially if you're already feeling like shit. I know it's so easy. It's so easy to believe these voices in your head like, oh, you're lazy shit. Oh, you just fake being depressed. Honestly, I think I don't know anyone who would fake being depressed. I think they fake being healthy. And that's why you end up feeling emotionally so exhausted when you're socialized, when you're not feeling your best. And then you come home and you wonder why you don't have social energy anymore. Because you've been masking the entire day. And I believe that's why some of us actually can empathize with autistic people, because they do this the entire time and it's exhausting. So I think for that it's very important to step by step create an environment with people where you have the feeling you can be yourself, where you don't need to fake being somebody else. And maybe I can be a little bit of that journey for you. And sometimes I know it sucks and I'm sorry to break it to you, and you probably already know it. Sometimes we need to be alone because sometimes we're in this weird transition period, right? Where we're not exactly the person we used to be anymore, but we're also not yet exactly where we want to be. And I think to embrace exactly that and allow to hang in there, to allow to be addressed, to allow yourself to rebuild yourself without feeling weird and the need to explain others where your next steps are and are heading to. That's what I needed to learn so bad, because I always used to think like I own people shit. I don't do own people shit, and quite honestly, I believe they don't even give a shit. We're all so focused on our own life, right? But that's trauma brain. That's a trauma brain. Like, oh, for me, not for you, maybe for you as well. Like, oh, what could they think? Will they judge me? And even if they do, let them judge. Who cares? You know, at the end of the day, if you go to bed and if you know you did your best with what you had and what you knew, you made a progress. And some days, you know, you feel like the best you could do is surrender. Your best will look different every day. So, thank you for staying with me for 20 minutes and my rambling around and my awkwardness, whatever, I don't know, I'm looking forward so much for videos and tips you're not alone in this AI jungle and this wild shit that is happening around here. There are still real people out there who care about your soul, who care about humans. And it's so easy to believe like our problems are so unimportant with all the problems in the world, and my pain is just another, another pain surrounded by so much pain. But your experiences are not unimportant and they are legit. And in your life, they should be the most important things, because you cannot help people if you cannot help yourself. A blind doesn't lead the blind. And you don't need to feel selfish for now. I've experienced that so long. That back then I felt so selfish, being so self-centered around my pain. But truth be told, there was pain because it was caused onto me and not because I choose it. And yes, it's my responsibility to learn to live with that. But for that, especially the deeper the wound, the greater the healing. You need to take yourself some fucking time. And everybody who tried to make you feel bad about actually healing, I mean, like, nobody would blame you if somebody broke your arm and you cannot use it. And they wouldn't say, I mean, besides if they're psychopathic. So take your time and don't justify yourself in front of anyone. Take your time and remind yourself you are allowed to take up space and breathe. You're allowed to take your time and you're allowed to not know where to go next, and you're allowed to make different decisions in your life and to change your mind and to quit and to restart and rebuild and move. You are in fact allowed. In fact, that's your job as a human being, and you will find your essence. You're the person. You are the feeling when you're driving in your car with the windows down and you hear this song and you have this shiver and this feeling of gratitude and belonging, and the connection to you is there in this moment. Hold on to that feeling, because this is your soul calling. This is your soul. Not the moments where you're so burned out and fucked up. It's a part and it's compromise, but that shouldn't be our normal state of mind. And I don't get where we went wrong, that we think that life needs to be like that. It doesn't need to be like that. And sometimes we will have years to figure out how to actually live our soul calling. And some people are so caught up with giving up, and because they don't have the time to connect to their soul. And what happens then? They forget who they are, like in the movie Spirited Away. She doesn't even have a name anymore. So remember yourself about your name. I love you, my friend. See you in the next video. Cheers. Bye bye.